All right, we are live. Hey, everybody, Dave Calafiore with you today, and happy Monday. If you're joining us live, how you doing? The chat is live. I'll be kind of trying to keep an eye on that while we're going through this today. Our plan here is to kind of keep this short and sweet. What I wanted to do is kind of give everybody a rundown or kind of an overview of the new Flow Builder. A lot of you have access to this now, not everybody, but a good amount of you do have access to the Flow Builder. And what I wanted to do was kind of take you through the process, or not the process, but what I wanted to do is show you kind of what all the different blocks can do within that Flow Builder, and maybe give you some ideas on ways that you can use this. If you're watching live, you can just put a hello in the chat. Let me know that you can hear and see me okay. And then we'll get rolling and get into this. All right. Perfect. Let me get my screen going here. Okay. Perfect. So yeah, you're seeing my screen here. I'm going to get rid of myself, so this is a little bit larger for everybody to take a look at. Hey, Lloyd, how are you? Cool. So let's take a look now here at, we're going to go check out the Flow Builder here, and we're going to build a new flow. And what I'm going to first do is kind of just go through each of the blocks and kind of explain what they are and how they work. So we'll just call this a demo flow. And, once you create a new flow, you're kind of be brought to this blank canvas. And I know this can kind of be daunting. You're looking at this saying, all right, what do I do here? Like, how do I use this? Right. And we'll get into some use cases. But the first thing I kind of want to do is just show you each of these blocks really quickly. So, um, to get started, what you do is just take a block and you can just move it onto the canvas here, just like that, right? And this first block is just a simple message, right? A message is just you know, um, a message that you can write. So imagine if you just said, "Hey, welcome to my bot," right? There's some rich text editing here. You can bold things, italicize, underline. You can link specific words if you want to, and then you can change, the size of the type from paragraph to all the different heading sizes. Okay. Um, Variables. I mean attributes. There's no attributes because we haven't collected any data or information, and I'll kind of show you this once we get into some of these other blocks here. But you can use merge tags based upon attributes that you've created, and information that you've collected and saved as an attribute in the flows here. And then you can put that merge tag in. It's kind of like, when you're using an email marketing platform and um, you put, hey, first name, and then the bot or the flow adds in the person's first name that you've collected already. And I'll show you how that works. But this is where you would find those attributes if you had collected them, and then you can use them as merge tags here in your message. And then finally here, you can put a delay, right? So AI works fast. These bots are fast. And sometimes it's nice to kind of slow things down a little bit to make the conversation flow just seem a little bit more natural. Okay. So, like, you could put a 5-second delay in. And what would happen is this message would display. And then if you have another block attached to it, you'd see the typing animation happen for 5 seconds. And then the next block would display, right? So, we're going to save this. And then we'll pull in the next type of block, which is a question. And this is where you can go and collect information from your bot, right? So again, we have our message, we have a 5-second delay. So you'll see that typing delay happen for 5 seconds. And then it goes down to this question block. So a question block is actually that you're asking somebody a question which they're going to answer. So it might just be like, what's your email address? What is your email? So this is what they're going to see in terms of what the next message is, okay? Now we're asking what their email is. Now we have to kind of tell this block here how it's going to save that information. All right. Again, we can put another delay here between this block and the next block. So we'll just add 5 seconds in. Now, this question we want to save as an attribute. So we have a bunch of pre-made ones here. It's kind of like a custom field type of deal, an attribute. So we asked for the email. So I might want to just save this as email, right? But what if you were saving some sort of custom information? Like you're asking for an address, or maybe you're asking for how many years they lived in a home. It doesn't really matter what it is, but you might be asking some sort of custom information that does not correspond here with some of these pre-made attributes that we have built in already. Well, that's okay, because you can actually create your own custom attributes, right? So maybe if we didn't want to save this as email, you wanted to save it as something else, you could just click add attribute. When you just click this plus sign right here, okay, come down, and now you can create your own custom attribute. So we'll just call this custom email. And then you can choose a way to validate that information. So you could have no validation, or if you want to make sure that somebody's only entering in like a valid email format, that it validates that it has like the at sign and like .com or dot whatever after it, right? So we can choose email format validation. And basically what happens is somebody does not type in their email in a valid format, it will say, sorry, that's the wrong format. Try again. Okay. So we've uh, created this custom email. And then once you give it a name and choose a validation type, if you want that, you just click add custom attribute. And when you do that, as you can see, that custom attribute is now loaded in here. Okay. So we are validating as an email. Now, what happens if somebody fails several times to type in that email address in the correct format? Okay. So you can kind of decide that here. So action on failure of input. All right. So you can either go to the failure block, and I'll show you that when I close this out, or you can go to the success block. Maybe you're like, all right, this person's not going to give me my email address. We'll just continue them on to the next step. Or you can send them to the failure block and kind of cut them off too. So we'll choose failure block, and then you can choose how many failures can occur in terms of them not using the correct formatting before it goes to the direction that you've chosen here, whether to the failure block or the success block, right? Okay, so we're going to save this. So it'll allow us to put in the wrong email address in the wrong format 3 times before it goes to the failure block. So save, right? I'm going to come back here and just check for any questions really quick. Hey, Bob, Dara, Wendy, Lloyd, how you guys doing today? All right, so we've asked the email. We asked the question for the email address, right? After 3 failed attempts, if someone's using the wrong formatting for an email, it's going to shoot them down this way to the failure block. If they put in a properly formatted email address, they will go to the success block. So you're kind of branching now. So you could basically you could lead them down a whole nother pathway of failure if you wanted to. One thing you could do too is just say, all right, kind of come to the conclusion that they're not going to give me their email address, or they're having some sort of issue doing that, or whatever the proper information is that they need to put in here. And you might want to just let them now chat with the AI, right? So AI mode means they're going to be returned to the AI portion of your bot, meaning the prompt that you've built into your bot, all of the context and knowledge that they've built into your bot. That's what AI mode is here. And when you click on AI mode, you can just leave this blank if you want, or you can type in a message. It's like, you're like, okay, it looks like you don't have an email address. Oops. Let us know if you have any further questions. Something like that. Um, and again, as you can see now, this block also has the attributes. So you could choose one of the attributes to add in as a merge tag. I'll just kind of show you how that works. So you would put the cursor here and you just find the attribute that you wanted to use, and boom, it would add in that person's email address if they'd given it to you, or their name, or whatever information that you've collected. So that's kind of how that works. So there's our failure block. So now, if they don't give you their email address, or they fail 3 times, they're going to go down here and it's going to say, hey, if you have any further questions, just let us know. Now, maybe you want to collect more information if they've given you their email address. So now we want to build out this success pathway. So maybe I want to ask another question. What is your first name? So again, we can put a delay in here, right? Um, we can look for the attributes. I have one for name, but I'll have first name, right? So maybe I'm going to build my own custom attribute. So we click to add attribute. We're going to call this first name. We're not going to do any validation, or we can just do, letters and numbers. There you go. Add that, right? Hit save. So now, boom, what's your name? Maybe I want to now just confirm everything. Okay. So now check this out. We can put another message block in. Actually, let's do this. Now, what if we wanted to confirm the information that was just given to us? So we've asked for an email address. We've asked for a first name. What if we want to confirm that information? So we can do things like a multiple choice. We could do something like, let's confirm your info. And I could do like email. I'm going to choose the attribute email. Boom. And then I could put first name. Choose the attribute for first name. Adds it in. Hit save. Now, that's the multiple choice block. Now I'm going to move. We're going to ask them whether that information is correct or not, right? So I'm going to bring in an option now. So here's option 1. And these will kind of show up as buttons, okay? So we can like yes, that. We'll just put yes. How's that? Yes. Again, we can put a delay in here. Save. We'll bring in another option. Whoops. There we go. And this would be no. Not correct. 5. Save. So now, based upon what they select, they can go down a different pathway, right? So if all the information is correct, let's move on. If the information is not correct, you may want to run them through these questions again to make sure we got the right information, right? So now if we save this, we saved it, we can kind of test this flow here. Hey, welcome to my bot. What's your email address? 5-second delay. What's your first name? It's Dave. There we go. So let's confirm your info. Your email is this. First name is this. Is this correct? If I hit no, not correct, it's going to go down this pathway. If I hit yes, correct, it's going to go down this pathway. As you can see, I have nothing else after that. So what will happen automatically, if there's no other endpoint here, it will just automatically go back to AI mode. So if I hit yes, it's going to say AI mode activated. And now, if I have this connected to a bot, it's going to just revert back to whatever that bot is instructed to do. I'm just going to go make sure we don't have any questions coming in here. All right. Hey, Ross Bryant, how you doing, man? Kim is with us. Cool. All right. So moving on here. So we've talked about the message block, the question block, the multiple choice block, and you could bring more multiple choice questions in here if you want, just by, dragging more of these blocks in. Oops. Sometimes it's hard to connect these. We got to work on that. But you can bring more blocks in. That's multiple choice. AI mode we talked about. That kind of brings you back to using the bot as you built it. Goes back to AI mode. Images are pretty self-explanatory, right? So you can add an image in. You can either put an image URL or you can upload an image. We'll just upload an image here just for the heck of it.
Hey, David, I'm watching their questions.
Oh, hey, Drew. Okay. So there's an image I uploaded. Again, you can add up, a delay in 5 seconds. Save. That's pretty self-explanatory. Let me just pop out a little bit here. Video, again, pretty basic, right? Just bring a video block in. You could either enter a video URL. You can upload a video. So if I don't have a small enough video to upload here, but when you add a video, you can also add a button under the video too, which is pretty cool. So actually, let me get a video URL here. Hang on. There we go. We'll just grab anything. Copy. There we go. So you can just put a YouTube, Vimeo, or Loom link here, or as I said, you can also upload a video. So I put a Loom link here. Here's the Loom video. And then I can put a button under the video. The button, you can, change the color of the button, which is kind of neat. You can change the text color of the button. And then what you can do is you can either put a link, so you can link out to a website via that button, or, which is really neat, is you could start another flow, right? So here's an example. Maybe you're doing some work with a real estate agent and you've got a video of a home that you've, made a flow that somebody's interacting with, and this button could either link out to the landing page on that agent's website for that home with all the information, or it could start another flow that you've built that is designed to kind of give a bunch more information about that specific home. So you can either, if you choose link, just put a link in. If you choose flow, you would select a flow that you've built already. And then when somebody clicks on that button, it would just trigger that other flow to start. And again, obviously too, you can put your delay in here, save. So that's video. URL, very self-explanatory. You're just basically adding a link. Enter the text. This is what would display. The actual URL, and then your delay if you want to put in your delay block there, right? A form. So you can also trigger a form. The forms that we build here in AskSpot. So we just pull a form over. You can pull up or, select one of the forms that you've built already. you can make this required so somebody can't move on to the next step until they fill this form out. And that could be interesting for you if you want to collect information on the front end before someone's allowed to actually start a chat. You could actually, welcome them with one of your message blocks and then connect that to a form. And maybe we'll build this out after and show some more practical use cases. But you just drag in the form block, select the form that you want to trigger, and add it in.
David, on that note, I think Ross was asking, can he bring his own form from his CRM?
Not currently, no. But you can connect to your CRM with a webhook and send that information into your CRM.
And Lloyd asked while we're here, he asked, are there any global attributes that they've got access to, such as the ability to spit out the current time and date? If not, is that something we're considering or might add at some point?
Not currently, but that's something that we can look into. As I said, we're just getting started with this too. So this is going to evolve over time based upon, how people are using it. We're going to monitor and collect a lot of data and see what people are doing with it. And based upon that, there's all sorts of stuff that we can add to this over time. This is really just our starting point. So lots of good stuff to come. So it's forms, flow block, pretty straightforward. It actually just will start another flow, right? So you maybe, you at the point where you collected all the information that you wanted, maybe you wanted to just then send someone to another flow. Well, you can just pull in this flow block. And when it reaches that point, it will just actually automatically start another flow right here. Okay. Gallery. Now this is super cool. We showed this a little bit. I gotta get rid of that flow block. That's also an endpoint too. Once a new flow starts here, you can't add any more blocks after that. Same thing with the AI mode block. Okay. Gallery. We showed this off a little bit on the live call and the last week. This is a really cool feature. Allows you to add, multimedia type elements into your flows. So you can do video or images. You just click add new media. And once you do that, it opens up some options for you. So you can do a mix of images and media. You can do all video. You could do all images. It's totally up to you. But we'll go back here. So this is number 1 of 2. I'm going to upload an image. All right, so there's an image here, right? Under each image or video, you have the option to put a button. And just like on the other blocks, the video block and the image block, that button can either open up a URL or trigger a new flow, okay? For each one, you can edit the background color. You can edit the text color. And then we can go to the next one here. And maybe this time we want to do a video, right? Oops, did I grab a different link here? There we go. Just save this. Whoops, let's get rid of this. Add new. There we go. My preview's not working. There's a little bug we got to fix. See, we're in beta still, Drew. But you can add a video. You can also choose the aspect ratio. So you can do 16:9, or if you have more of a vertical type video, you can choose the 1:1, more of a square option for those different size videos. And again, too, on the videos, you can put a button if you'd like that triggers a flow or goes to a URL. Delay block. That's a gallery. So you can put a bunch of different media in here. For some reason, our preview is not working with the video. We got to fix that up. And again, too, just to point out, on any of these blocks, you're going to find one of these video tooltips where there's instructions on how to use this specific block. Okay, so those will be helpful for you as you're kind of digging in here and starting to learn how to use this. Um, Webhooks. We'll go into that last. Audio allows you to put an audio player into your Flow. I don't know if I have an audio file available. Let me see if I have any audio MP4s anywhere. Here we go. There's an MP3. But it exceeds the size limit, and the size limits on these are not gigantic. And there's a very specific reason for that. Is most of these interactions are going to be happening on your mobile device, and because of that, we need to make sure that these multimedia files, that if you're uploading them, can actually load in a decent amount of time to make everything work properly. So the reason why some of these file sizes limits are on the smaller side is to help things work smoothly when people are not on particularly fast connections, which happens a lot, happens more than you think. So you get a slow connection, and if that video can't load or that image can't load, it really just kind of gunks everything up. So we want to keep those file sizes on the smaller side. But you can either put a URL. So if you have a link, an audio MP3 link, that's a URL, you can add it here, or you can upload an audio. And then just like on the other blocks too, you can put a button, you can trigger a flow, or open a URL, and you have your delay block here. Um, and then buttons. Buttons are pretty cool too. So button block, add new button. You can add a bunch of new buttons, right? So buttons can either open a URL or open a link. Button 1, choose a flow or choose a link. You can change the background and text color of each one. Button 2. Button 3. So on and so forth. You hit save. It adds all those buttons. So you've got our messages, questions, multiple choice, AI mode, images, video, URL, add forms, trigger flows, gallery of mixture of videos and images, audio files, audio player inside of the chat, and then this buttons. You could, I think a great interesting use case for the buttons is to almost like provide almost like a link tree type scenario, where hey, button 1, button 2, button 3, button 4, button 5. Like, what are you looking for specifically? Click on the one that meets or suits your needs. And again, those can open links, or they can open other flows, which take those people down different pathways depending on which button they clicked on, right? So let's talk. I'm going to clear this out. Let's talk about webhooks now, and how to get information, that you're collecting out of AskSpot or out of this FlowBulder and into other platforms, CRMs, email marketing platforms. So, one interesting way that you can use this is when initiating a conversation. When someone initiates a conversation, you may want to collect some information from them initially, like, hey, what's your first name and what's your email address, right? So we could do that we could start with a question, and maybe just like kind of close your eyes and imagine we're just building like a customer service type bot for a local business. And before we allow them to start chatting with our AI, maybe we just want to grab their first name and grab their email address so we can send it off to our CRM and kind of keep track. And maybe we're growing a contact list, we're growing a prospect list. That's a great way to do that, right? So you could do something like, hey, welcome. Before we get started, may I please grab your first name? And then again, we're gonna we'll put a delay here, right? We're gonna choose our attribute. First name. and save. Oops, you know what? I didn't add the, my bad. First name, add. There we go. Okay, so we added our custom attribute first name. Now we're going to ask another question. I want to grab their email address. Also, may I please have your email address so we can contact you if we disconnected, something like that, right? Yeah, please have your email address so we can contact you if we become disconnected. So we're going to go in, we're going to add attribute, email, validation, email format, hit save. Now, we want to take that information and we're going to want to send it to our webhook, right? So we're going to pull in our webhook block and connect it to our success block, okay? And now what we can do is grab a webhook. So I'm going to go over to Zapier. I'll show you how easy this is. So we're going to create a new webhook. And we're going to choose to catch a hook, continue. It's going to give us the webhook URL. There's our webhook URL. We're going to copy that, come back over here to AskSpot. We're going to enter that webhook URL here. And we're going to see, as you can see, when I put that in, it automatically brought up our attributes, first name and email address, which are the two questions that we asked, right? So we click test webhook. That sends the information over to Zapier, or if you're using Make or Pabbly, we'll send it over to that automation platform. Now, if we hit test trigger, boom, there it brought in the sample data, and we've got first name and email address. And here you go, Lloyd. If you wanted to send this like off to your high-level CRM or an email marketing platform or a Google Sheet, you can now connect this information to basically any other app that you can connect with a webhook. So it's super easy to offload this stuff. You could, trigger an automated email to be sent out maybe an hour after somebody, connects with you here via the bot. Say thank you for asking your question. Did you need any more help? Whatever. So many different ways that you can use it, but it's super simple to offload that data. It's basically just pull in the webhook, add your webhook URL, send the test data over. And now over here, you can just match this up with another platform, maybe a Google Sheet, maybe it's MailChimp or Constant Contact or Active Campaign or High Level. You can send this information, this data pretty much anywhere. So that is the webhook block. Makes it so easy to just offload that data. And then, after you've collected their information, so imagine the flow, you've got this on a small business's website, someone's clicking to start a chat with the bot, they start it, they're welcomed, we're asking for their first name, we're asking for their email address. As soon as they give us that, it's getting shot off to the webhook. And now maybe we just want them to interact like they normally would with the AI bot, right? Ask it questions, get information it needs. So now what I would do is just pull in this AI mode. And this basically now ends the flow and sends the conversation off to AI, right? And you could say something like perfect. Perfect. Now that I have this info, how can I help you today? And you can also add their name in now since you have it, right? So first name, boom. Save. Let's save this. And we'll test it. Hey, welcome. Before we get started, may I please grab your first name? So there we go. It's Dave. Also, may I please have your email address so we can connect? So boom, now it just passed it through the webhook, right? And now it sent us to the AI mode. Now, when I have this connected to my bot, now the bot takes over, right? So I bet if I go over to Zapier here now, let's see if it sent this over. Not sure if it does it when we're in test mode. Let's, yep, there it is. Dave and my email address. Super simple. Drew, is there any questions about some of this stuff?
Actually, there were. I think this is probably good to answer. Bob was asking, can we add a flow to a bot that we already have made?
Sure. I'm going to, so that's my next plan was to show you how to like connect the flows to the bot, right?
And then Ross had some question over pricing.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. Let me just kind of finish up this part of it. So, you know, let's save this and let's go back. Let me just rename this here. Demo flow. Welcome. All right. So say you've got your flow all set and you want to connect it to a bot like Bob's asking about, right? Super easy. Basically, go build your bot out like you normally would. Add all the context, the knowledge, add your prompt in, style it, all those things like you normally would. But perhaps something like we just built would be the almost like the welcome message, if that makes sense, right? So for instance, here's this flow or this bot that I built. This is what I used on the demo that we did the other day on the live call for AskSpot 2.0. If I go to settings, you'll notice this new tab here. It's called flow settings. If you click on that and you check this box, it's going to bring up this box here where you can select the flow that you want to start the bot conversation with. Okay. So here it is. Here's the one I just built. Okay. Hit save. Now, what you'd probably want to do is go and get rid of your welcome message if you're going to do it this way. So you could just kill all this stuff. Because the flow is going to act as like your welcome message. All right. So we just did that. Let's open this up. There we go. Right. So that's that flow we just built out. Hey, welcome. Before we get started, may I please grab your first name? And there we go. So now it just goes right into the AI. Like now I'm utilizing the bot that I built out, right? After I've gone through the initial welcome flow where I grabbed their first name, grabbed their email address. We sent that off to the webhook. I've now got that in my CRM. I know this person contacted me, all these things, right? So now, so now you can see that it's the AI taking over the bot. Now it's just the bot. So there we go. Does that make sense, Bob? Hopefully that makes sense. So that's one way. All right. That's one way that you can use this. You can kind of just connect the flow to start the bot conversation. Another thing that you can do is go to channels. And when you go to add channels, you'll see this new flow channel, which is here, right? So if you select that, and I've got a couple here that are ready, you can actually turn these buttons into flow triggers. So for instance, I have two built out here, right? So these are these two: featured open houses and free home valuation. So when you click on these, it triggers the flow that that button is connected to. So this one was for featured open houses, right? We have some really amazing homes on display this weekend. You can take a look at our lineup below. Got this cool, this is the image, the gallery with a bunch of images, right? So this is a real estate example. Think about like this button here could be connected to another flow that's you've pre-built out that has all the information on this particular property. That's one way. Or you could just link out to, the landing page on that agent's website, right? And each image or each home here has its own button that could be connected to its own individual flow that would have all the information about that particular property, or you could link out. And then I had this button here is a button that I used within the FlowBulder, which opens up a schedule booking flow. So maybe I saw one of those open house is that I put in the gallery, took a look at it. I'm like, I want to schedule that appointment. I could click here and it's going to take me through how I can book an appointment with the real estate team here, right? So I clicked on it. It says, to schedule a showing, I first need to grab some quick info from you. And this is a flow that I built out already, right? So it's a first name, last name. It's going to take me through that process in the flow that I've built out. So currently, those are the two ways that you can use these flows with your bots. You can actually connect it to actually start the conversation, or you can connect these flows to these buttons here in the actual bot setup. Another thing you can do too, if we go back here, we'll remove this as the starting point. And if we go back, we can actually build out this. I should have deleted all that, but this is the initial message. So this is the initial message. And then you can put let me just save this. Get rid of this. So now, instead of showing the flow to begin the conversation, it's showing the initial message here, okay? If we go to general, we can also add in these buttons here, which will start a flow. Open houses, right? Or I can put another one in, free home valuation. So I have my initial message here. Welcome to our widget. Two options below. One to check out open houses. That starts that open house flow. Get a free home valuation. That starts the free home valuation flow. All right. Is that making sense for everybody?
I
We
love
try to
that.
keep it as
That's really
straightforward
awesome.
as we can. Yeah.
Bob was asking, can we send a response from a flow to a text message if we ask for a cell phone?
Can you send a response from a flow to a not from our platform? I guess you might be able to do that with like, some automations and Zapier and stuff. But,
Robin asks, sorry if I was late or got here late. Sorry if it was already answered. What's the difference between using this and a form within AskSpot, I guess, to collect data?
Yeah, I mean, you could go either way. The beautiful thing is that you have options. Sometimes a form might be more of like a contact form. You could look at it that way. You could build out like, hey, fill out this form. Maybe it's really personal preference. I mean, you could really lead somebody through that pathway and collect the information in kind of a conversational type format, or you could just present them with a form to fill out. It's either way really works. It's really kind of personal preference, to be honest, Drew.
Yeah, I think it's like the flow almost creates a conversational type of environment where, you know, a forum seems so, I don't know, commercial, institutional, where somebody sees a forum and almost immediately defaults to, I don't know if I want to give over my information versus, actually having a conversation and um, still collecting the data that way. Not that we're trying to be sneaky about it, but I just think it's a different flavor. Um, it really comes down to. I agree with you, David. It really just comes down to preference. But as they're experiencing the bot itself, potentially multimedia, depending
Yeah.
upon the images or the videos and how they're actually interacting with the AI
Yep.
assistant, it might entice them to leave a little bit more information.
Yeah, it's kind of like that micro commitment type of deal. Like sometimes when you present somebody with a big form to fill out, they're like, I don't want to deal with that right now. I'll do it later. But sometimes when you just start with a simple question like, what's your first name? Right? That's easy. Sure, Dave. Okay, Dave. Really quick, what's your email address? Great, got your email address. Okay, what's this? What's that? Sometimes it's easier to get people to go through that process of providing
Mm.
the data that you're looking to collect, by asking one question at a time in kind of a conversational way compared to just presenting them with a big form. But with that being said, both do work. It's really, as I was saying before, a personal preference. So George is or someone's asking, can you activate a flow from within an AI conversation without a button? Not yet, George. We're working on that. That's stuff we're working on in the background. To be honest, it's not. It works, but if you can imagine, there are so many variables, right? Think about the different ways that people ask questions. We're not robots. So people spell things differently, people misspell things, people ask questions in different ways. So what we're trying to figure that out actually, and we're just not quite there yet with it. And we're not going to like release it unless it's really working quite well. But there's a lot of variables involved. And I would say the AI is about 60 to 70% in terms of getting it right. And we need to make that better before we release that. But that is something that we are working on. Let's see here, Drew.
I think Ross was asking, I'm not sure if you're ready to do it, jumping into pricing.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a sec. We have two alternatives. No, Dara, you don't have to change. You don't have to have a delay set in order to save the flow. Nope, that's totally optional. If you're experiencing that, let us know. That would be a bug. But no, you don't have to use the delays at all. Cool. Let me stop sharing for a sec, Drew, and I will go over some of the pricing stuff.
Ross, were you asking specifically about our pricing plan, or are you talking about what you can sell this for? I think his question was, no, I don't see it. Oh yeah, there's. Maybe at the end we can go over pricing, difference between starter and pro as it regards to one project versus 10 projects.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He said yes. Ours was a project.
Sure. Second here, Drew. Share. go. Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, I mean, in terms of our pricing, it's actually pretty straightforward. Um, we have a starter plan, we have our pro plan, and we have an unlimited plan. Um, Really, the feature sets are the same on them. The big difference being on the starter and the pro plan, there's no custom domain included, meaning you would have to use our AskSpot domain for our direct to chatbot links and our chat log share links and those sorts of things. Um, and then obviously there's a difference in terms of the amount of the limits. So a project is really just a folder that you can keep things organized within. That's really all it is. It's not a big deal, but the amount of bots that you can build obviously is a big deal. So on our starter plan, it's $29 a month. You can build up to 3 assistants slash bots. No custom domain included. Everything else is the same as the other plans. On the pro plan, you can create up to 20 assistants or bots. And then our unlimited plan is $99 per month. The only difference is the limits on these two, the starter and the pro plan. And then custom domain is not included on those two, just on our unlimited plan. And that's that.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing too crazy there. So that's
you got it, Ross.
We just kind of wanted to get things rolling here. You know, like a good chunk of you have access to that FlowBulder now. And I really just kind of wanted to kind of start the conversation, start showing people some things that you can do with these and like what all the different blocks are, a few like really simple ideas to get started. I think one of the easiest ways that you can get started is to really just build out what I just showed you. Like before you allow somebody to actually chat with your bot, you can very easily, at a minimum, collect their first name and their email address. And then you can use a webhook, like just like I showed you, takes 30 seconds to set up. Grab the webhook, paste it in, send the test data off to Zapier or Make or Pabbly or whatever you're using. And then you can send that data onto any other application you want really easily. And then use that flow to start the bot conversation, right? Now, I can't speak for all of the different types of clients that you guys work with, the niches and industries you work within. There are so many use cases. Like, I'm not here to specifically tell you what you're going to do with it, but I want to show you how it works. You know, what some of the possibilities are of things that you can do. You have to get creative. Think outside the box. Think about ways that you can utilize this for your specific use cases. Dave and Drew are not here to tell you exactly what to do and what blocks to pull in. And, you know, you've got to use your brain and get creative and come up with ways that, you know, this will benefit what your specific use cases are. Cool. Well, I'll stick around for another couple minutes here if there's any other questions. And we'll be doing more of these too, quite often, actually.
And incidentally, if you have an account and haven't already done so, to schedule your onboarding call with Kim from our support team, who does an amazing job. Highly recommend connecting with her to maybe even review some of this stuff as well. But one of the best things that you can do with any type of software is to get onboarded as quickly as you can. Start creating stuff, start turning the dials and the knobs and everything that you saw on the inside that David shared with you today. It's critical that you use your own tool. Get in there, start using it, start building things out, try to break stuff. We appreciate that. We appreciate when you try to break stuff and bring it to our attention if something doesn't work. But one of the best ways, if you kind of want your hand to be held a little bit, is to get an onboarding call with Kim, who is with us today. If you haven't done so, I highly recommend doing it. If you're not an AskSpot .ai user just yet, we invite you to join us and the family. We've got an amazing community of other AI assistant builders and people that are pushing the limit as much as they possibly can. Again, this tool is designed to be, copy and paste easy for the beginner, for the average person to get in there and be able to create something pretty magnificent right out of the box. As you can see, what David just shared with you, the FlowBulder is our next evolution. It's AskSpot 2.0. Where we were as a minimal viable product to where we are right now, completely different, right? So lots of fun, lots of new stuff, and we're going to continue to push the envelope. So we invite you to do the same. We invite you to join us if you're not already a member and a user of the platform, to jump in and see what it's all about. If you've got questions, we've got an amazing support team. We've got an amazing community. And with that said, if you don't have any other questions, I guess we'll, yeah. So, or I guess Ross was asking, how do you schedule it? So Ross, I guess the first thing, go ahead, David.
Is once you subscribe first, pick a plan that works for you, subscribe, and then we have info on how you can do that once you've joined us.
Yeah, it's right in your dashboard, Ross. Once you get in, you'll be able to be able to schedule it directly with Kim.
Cool. Well, looks like the questions have slowed down, but the big key is just get in and use it. Like, I know, like, you look at a blank canvas sometimes and you're like, oh, what do I build? I don't have a particular idea in mind, but like, really what I showed you today, like simply just collecting some simple information from somebody before they are allowed to actually start engaging and ask questions of your bot. It's kind of a smart idea. You can build a contact list, a prospecting list, list of people who are on your website and start sending them more information if you're working on behalf of clients. Just literally knowing who is interacting or engaging is pretty important. That can be sent off to a CRM using webhooks. The key is just get in there and get your creative hat on and start messing around and fooling around. You saw what I kind of built out for that real estate agent as an example. Ways to list their open houses, ways to collect information for a free home valuation. That's just one example, but you just got to kind of get in there, get dirty, start fooling around and using it. And it really can become quite addictive once you start using it, coming up with all the different things that you can do with it, different ideas. It's a lot of fun, actually. So you've got access to it. Go use it. Take advantage.
Yeah, we'd love to see what you guys build. So until the next time, be on the lookout for our next Build a Bot session, which might be this week or next week. I forget exactly when what we've got planned, but we're going to dig more into the FlowBulder as we move forward with AskSpot 2.0 and get everybody really comfortable with the FlowBulder. All right. With that said, guys, hey, enjoy the rest of this day today, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Bye, everybody.